When it comes to learning difficulties like dyslexia, lasting change starts with the right approach. At the Morris Center, we go beyond traditional tutoring, offering comprehensive, evidence-based programs that retrain the brain for lifelong success. With over 35 years of experience, we've helped thousands of clients overcome learning challenges in just months, not years. Find out how we can help your child succeed at themorriscenter.com.
This is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network. Welcome to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Your host, Felice Gerwitz, is an author, a publisher, and your radio show host. She will encourage, educate, and inspire you with answers to your most pressing questions, from homeschool, marriage, parenting, and much more. Felice loves to equip moms to live a Christian life because every moment counts. Be sure to visit her website at mediaangels.com. And here's your host, Felice Gerwitz.
Caring for your marriage is essential, and a healthy marriage takes work between two spouses. Is there a right way and a wrong way to approach marriage? Well, I'm going to share some of my favorite tips for strengthening marriage in this podcast. Thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Felice Gerwitz, and our topic is healthy marriage tips. This is episode 548, and you can find today's show notes at vintagehomeschoolmoms.com. Before I start, I want to remind you of something, and this is important. Some of these points may resonate with you, while others are not going to. Use what works for you and your spouse. Each couple and relationship is unique, and after 45 years of marriage, I am still learning. And it's hilarious because some of the things that bothered me about my husband no longer do, and some of the things that never bothered him about me do. So we have to continuously work on things, and we have a lot of love and laughter in our marriage, and that goes a long way to solving some of the problems that crop up from time to time. If you were talking to a newly engaged couple, what marriage advice would you give them? Think about this. If you want to, stop this recording, and you and your husband sit down and discuss it. What did you come up with? Well, my husband and I sat down and we brainstormed the main aspects of marriage that few talk about, or if they do, they gloss over the facts. This list is not very long, but one word is essential, and that is relationship. What is your relationship with God and your relationship with each other? Do you enjoy doing things together? Do you spend time alone? Or do you spend time in building your marriage? I know it's hard, especially with the children, but some things you can do and others you work on the workarounds. The main concept here is relationship. My husband and I actually like each other, and I think that is a big part and cornerstone that people forget. Love, while it is important, changes over time. Healthy relationships start with your relationship with God, and maybe you're a person that doesn't have faith. But consider this. If your relationship with God is something that is important, it does set the stage for leading a good and moral life. It allows you to follow the tenets of faith, which are kindness, love, and compassion. For a marriage to thrive, it should be selfless. And this is something that is very foreign to most people. I do something for my husband, not necessarily because I choose to do it, but because I want to do something, because it is being kind. I want to love as Christ loves me, yet it's always a work in progress, a conscious decision and a choice. As I'm recording this, it's Valentine's Day, and my husband's sister sent him some M&Ms. Well, I try not to eat sweets 2 days a week. It's my way of fasting. So I don't eat any sweets on Wednesdays and on Fridays. So the M&Ms came, and they were special variety on Wednesday. And he tried to offer me some, and I said, no, I'm going to wait, save me some until tomorrow. Well, today I ended up bringing him one of my homemade chocolates. I melt chocolate and I'll add some, salted nuts. And we both think they're super yummy. So I brought him over a chocolate and I said, "Oh, your M&Ms, can I have one?" And he handed me the package, which was empty. And he was working at his computer when this was going on. And I just laughed and said, "You ate them all and you didn't save me any?" And he kind of looked a little bit chagrined and he goes, "Yeah, but they really weren't worth it." And kind of like non-apologetic, where I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot I was supposed to save you some." So sometimes men and women approach things differently. So I teasingly said to him, "Well, there's one more of my homemade chocolates left, and I was going to save you that, but now I'm not so sure." And he said, "Oh, you go ahead and eat it since I eat all the M&Ms. The point here is that we can get in such a tizzy and fight over something and really make it a big ordeal, and the way we look at our lives and the things that we do are just different when God is the focus. Sometimes, and some men don't think of others really well. And I think for women especially, we are self-sacrificing by nature. We have our children, we take care of them, we take care of our spouse, and they don't really have that chance to be nurturing and do the things that we do. And sometimes that translates into your relationship. Your relationship should be enjoyable. You should like to spend time doing together. Sure, we all have different ideas and different hobbies, but we should be able to have a compromise or a workaround when there's something that we want to do together and we see differently on how to do it. And the case in point for us is the television. My husband loves to watch television, and I would be happy not to own a television. So, okay, how do we compromise? Well, I want to spend time with him, so sometimes while he's watching TV and flipping channels, we might be watching some Hallmark station 1 minute, and then the next minute he has some game on, and then the next minute it's the news. So if I really cared, it would be horrendous, right? But because I want to spend time with him, I will sit and either I'll read something on my phone, or I'll read the news, or I'll look up something, or I'll, make graphics on my computer. If you visited the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network, you see lots of graphics on the site. And that's something I enjoy doing, and so do my podcasters. So it's something that doesn't take a lot of brain power, because I want to be available to chat. And my husband's okay with me pausing the television. We each have our own remote control. And so sometimes I'll pause something and show him something on my phone or something funny. And, he'll say, "Oh, did you hear this?" And he'll rewind it so that I can hear whatever it was on television. So we're actually sitting there watching something when one of us is not giving it its entire attention. If we're watching a movie, it's different, but we typically leave movies for the weekends. So again, that is just one little instance of how you can compromise in a relationship. If I had to sit and tell a couple what I thought were the most important things in a marriage and a healthy marriage, it would be understanding some of these key points. Number one, marriage is not 50-50. It's 100-100. We each give 100%. If you're only giving half, you're going to fall short, right? And so we want to give as much as we possibly can to our marriage and make that a priority after God. The second is forgiveness goes a long way in healing hurts. Many times we think about things in the wrong way, I guess. Some of us are really good at saying, I'm sorry. But forgiveness means, will you forgive me? It's putting that onus on the other person that you've hurt. The third point would be manipulation only goes so far and really should stop. Manipulation actually started in the Garden of Eden. When Eve bit that apple, Who was standing right there next to her? Well, Adam was, and he didn't stop her, did he? And so I heard a pastor teach on this one time, and he said, manipulation has been happening since the garden. And he said, when Eve took a bite of that apple, she gave it to Adam, and he went ahead and took a bite as well, that she manipulated him into eating it because she had. And the point is that he could have stopped her, right? As the head of the family, as the Bible later teaches, that the husband is the head of the family, but the wife is the heart. So one of the things we need to realize is that women are really good at manipulating, and we need to be careful of when we're doing it just to only get our way. The fourth is listening. It's a key to a long and happy marriage. I talk a lot, so it's very difficult for me to hold my tongue and know when to do it. So knowing when to talk and when to hold your tongue is gold. And the last point is character assassination. In our family, that has been something that I taught the kids from when they were very little, and my husband and I discussed it. I really dislike when people call each other names. You're stupid, you're dumb. It's different to say, I'm upset because of what happened, rather than saying, you're just an idiot. And so I always told the children that they were not allowed to call each other dumb or stupid, and character assassination was forbidden in our home. I think that is a really good rule of thumb. But a true confession, my husband and I didn't always prioritize our marriage. And in our 30s, I felt like we were growing apart. I was focused on homeschooling, taking the kids to lessons, sports, and household management. My husband was focused on growing his business, and he spent time with the kids and me. But as I shared with you about our television watching, it wasn't a lot of just sitting and talking. In my late 30s, I started a publishing company while I was pregnant with my third child. And when visiting the pediatrician, he asked me if my husband and I were spending time together and going to dinner. And I kind of looked at him, and, the first thing I wanted to say is, actually, this is none of your business. And truthfully, I was annoyed with him, and I smiled non-committedly. But later that evening, I shared what the doctor said with my husband, and he was all for it, going out and spending time alone. And that kind of made me feel good because, I'm thinking, we're almost like two ships passing in the night. And I know a lot of you can relate to this, especially if you are younger and have younger children. But this simple little thing really rekindled our relationship. We did say that on our dates, we were going to make sure that we were focusing on us and not just talking about our children, and also putting phones away. We talked about our businesses and our hopes and our dreams and some of our goals. And I loved hearing his insights and advice on my business. This wasn't always reciprocated, but I felt like we had a handle on what we wanted and where we were headed. We made an effort to parent together, which also cut down on some of our arguments over different parenting styles. We didn't need to contradict each other. My husband is way more lenient than I was, depending on his backing and support. The kids would listen or not listen. On the other hand, he was gone all day and he missed the kids. So I could understand why he didn't want to get into discipline issues when he got home. So we worked out a plan for when he came home. He would first say hi to me, and then we'd sit for a few minutes and chat. And we let the kids know that this was just daddy and mommy time. I might have a small snack for him, but it was just us. And then he'd take the kids outdoors or in another room if it was raining and spent time with them until dinner. The kids were prepped and knew this was happening ahead of time. Even with a young baby, I did this, and it worked wonders, just having that few minutes of reconnecting. It also helped our children realize that mom and dad love each other, they're spending time with each other, and that was really important in allowing them to feel secure. Communication is important as well as common courtesy. I shouldn't have to tell you, gosh, guys, be nice to each other. Show each other you care and appreciate each other. And it's difficult. I know for me, the little things are so important. I was thankful when he would grill or take the kids out for a few minutes so I could have a break. I loved that he took out the trash. Those were things that were wonderful to me. We didn't always support each other's endeavors, but we worked toward a common goal. I was ready to grow my husband's construction business while he wanted to keep it small. So I expressed my desire to grow a business by launching my own. My husband wanted me to keep it small, but it quickly grew so that he did come on board. And his only request was that I would minimize travel to conferences. So I started an online platform before that was a thing. And we co-own the Homeschool Podcast Network, which is the ultimate homeschool podcast network. And we also co-own the Ultimate Christian Podcast Network, which I always call our sister network. And both of these podcast networks have an international reach. So much for keeping it small. Why am I sharing this with you? Because I want to show you that even if you have differences or your goals may not perfectly align, you still can have a healthy marriage. It's okay not to be in lockstep, but what's important is that you're able to work it out in a way that you can both live with. You may be married to a headstrong spouse, and I am the one in our family, and I can be a handful at times. But once again, good communication and a deep, caring friendship really helps us. My husband and I are good friends, and he's the one I want to tell everything to whenever he comes home. And he's the one who understands me the best. Recently, through a mini crisis, he was really supportive, and he brought out good points that I didn't even remember. A good marriage is a spouse who's there for you when you need it, and that doesn't mean being on call 24/7, but it does mean making time for listening and support when you really need it. Sometimes I'm up and he's down, and sometimes he's down and I'm up. But having a person there to lean on makes all the difference. Well, friends, I pray this information is helpful and that you can use and think about what applies to you in your relationship. And also to think about what you can do to improve your marriage. We pray for all of you who listen to this podcast and others on the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. If you'd like the show notes for today's episode, you can go to Healthy Marriage Tips on vintagehomeschoolmoms.com and look for episode 548. Please share this episode with a friend and give me a star rating, and you can follow my podcast on any of your favorite podcast apps. Take care, God bless, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Homeschool Mom Show. Visit Felice at MediaAngels.com and TheVintageHomeschoolMoms.com. Vintage Homeschool Moms is a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Radio Network.